How about a nice boring run today with the Balance Blade? Maybe the most boring of the brutality scaling weapons. Well, aside... Wow, that's an interesting get. Aside, maybe, from the Rusty Sword, which it's obviously supposed to be aping. Balance Blade, I would say, is a little bit faster. As you hold forward a bit less, too. But essentially, it is supposed to be the big boy version of the... Yeah, get out of here, Rusty Sword. I don't even need that. Balance Blade is essentially supposed to be the big boy version of the Rusty Sword. You see, back in the day, back before they introduced the Balance Blade, I want to say it was in the Darkness update that we first saw it, people really liked using the Rusty Sword. It's a very basic, very simple sort of weapon. You just, you know, point it towards the enemy and cause it to do damage. And there were weapons like that, but nothing in the same way as the Rusty Sword. The closest thing was probably the Twin Daggers, which I'd say were, you know, being a game created by Motion Twin, probably supposed to be a thematic sort of thing, like your basic sort of weaponry. And even that had a different sort of move set. It had a different sort of critical, which, you know, is to say that the Rusty Sword had none. So people, I remember on the Steam forum and everything like that, were saying, hey, make it so that we can just get the Rusty Sword at the very start of the game. We want, you know, something like that. And now we got the Balance Blade. And to be honest, despite the fact that it's a very simple sort of sword, I wouldn't really say it's like a... It's like a, objectively worse version of the sword or anything like that. Yeah, whatever, I don't even care. It's fine. It's not like it's an objectively... Heals? Sounds good. It's not like it's an objectively worse version of any other brutality weapon. It's just a very basic, simple weapon. I would say that if you wanted... That if you were some person that really liked using the Rusty Sword, hey, check this one out. It's pretty good. The only thing is that while it is, you know, a halfway decent brutality weapon, it's also a very simple brutality weapon. Essentially, all you're getting out of it is some... what does it actually say? Carefully balanced for rapid attack sequences. You get rapid attack sequences, nothing else. You're not really going to be... I would say that it actually kind of becomes a little bit worse on 4-cell mode, because this is something that you have unlocked from the very beginning, and the later weaponry can get you much better sort of criticals, higher damage, more gimmicky type stuff. Who knows? All that and more, potentially. So just having a weapon that attacks good is not only uninteresting, but can maybe be a little bit of a liability because you're... No, I want to take this one. Can maybe even be a little bit of a liability because you need so many more synergies and high damage and everything like that when you're working with your higher cell modes. Nah, I think that the best... Yep. I think that the best way to be going about doing ye old Balance Blade run is to go for the most regular, boring sort of run possible, i.e. cluster grenades. Get like a cluster grenade, a fire grenade, and I don't know, something else. The shield I got right now is good. Maybe I'll switch it out for... I don't even know what I was trying there. I was trying to roll through him. I should just put out the shield. Maybe even grab something like an alchemic rifle. Get a couple different versions of the... What is up here? Oh, lore room, okay. Get a couple different versions of a synergistic potential to have working there. Another thing would maybe be a Hokuto's bow. Or just a plain ice bow. A lot of good options, but I would say that a lot of damage I'm going to be getting is out of the cluster grenade. And if I decide to go with something like... go a little bit light on... the old damage reduction, maybe get a firebrand and then 2 cluster grenades instead, and then just be constantly hitting enemies with the old Balance Blade. I like calling things the old version of it because that adds another word so I can think a little bit harder about what I'm going to say next. It's words like honestly, or if I'm being serious here, or you might think that. Or you may have noticed, all those phrases do the exact same thing, which is, buy me more time to talk. And that's the sort of thing that you would expect out of a Balance Blade run. I do believe that the original Balance Blade run... Wow, interesting. If I wanted to go for the double, I feel like that's maybe not the time for it just yet. We'll look at later potentially getting two cluster grenades is the word I'm thinking of. But yes, I do believe that even in the original... whatever. Even in the original Balance Blade run I did, it was essentially, hey, some of these weapons might not be very interesting, but I can't believe... You know what? I don't even care. I'm not even going to use that swarm anyway, regardless of what it is. Yeah, it's like I'm doing all of the weapons. That means all of the weapons, including ones that might not be particularly interesting. There we are. Don't really need that. Especially because I already have an S-rank version of the knockback shield. I really don't need to get something that's not going to give me damage reduction and might give me a little extra gold at best. Taking a lot of damage here, but oh well, that's why you got the heart after all. Anyway, I would say that the most basic version of the brutality sort of run that you want to do, I do, of course, you may know that I am a big fan of doing damage over time. But aside from that, I do think that you can also get a lot of usage out of Cluster Grenade and Knife Dance. Those are two bigger burst damage type things you can do. However, if you're taking two of each, I would really suggest grabbing something to give you a little bit of damage reduction, because otherwise you're going to be going down in a single hit. I had that same sort of scenario happen in the last episode with the Hayabusa Gauntlets. You, in fact. You, right now, you. Get out of here. Gotta tell you, that last episode had me attempting that final boss like 3 times, and eventually I just said, you know what, that one where I died like literally 1 or 2 hits, or at the very least 1 or 2 seconds before the end of the fight, that's good enough. Hence why it said on the screen, good enough. Because that's how I was feeling at the time. I wanted to get an episode out, and I didn't want, with no time extra waiting for me to fart around and potentially get an actual kill. I mean, you know how it goes when you get a hand kill in 4-cell mode. It ends the exact same way every single time. It's really just for the bragging rights. I mean, and ultimately that is something with the game where it does have all of the boss cells and everything like that. You know, it's all available for you, ready for you. So come and test your mettle, see exactly how good or bad you may be when it comes to dealing with things like malaise. Which, considering how I've been playing this episode, I believe the answer is fairly bad. But, ultimately, it's all about... Nope, I'm not even going to re-roll that. I'll save up my money for other stuff later. Hey, nice. But you really don't get too much out of it. It's just allowing you to upgrade things a little bit more, get you a little bit better of a starting loadout, potentially, all that sort of stuff. Nothing that really says, hey, you have to do it on higher cell mode, otherwise you're not going to get, I don't know, some more powerful weapon. The only thing that even exists for that is just grabbing... Ah, that sucked. Oh well, I do have a lot of damage reduction right now. Later in the run that may change, but we'll see. Yeah, the only thing that you actually get is... cool. The only thing that you actually get is the acceptance blueprint. And that's mostly due to the fact that you have the shortcut into, well, the different layout in the ramparts, which can allow you to hit up the ramparts and then also fight the do the Conjunctivius fight. And that's the only real difference. Get out of here, you guys. And that's the only real difference, and that's just a mutation. I mean, it's nothing that's really going to break the bank. It's nothing that's really going to make it be like the end-all, be-all of your run. It's just a simple way, it's just a simple little extra thing that can make taking curses a little bit easier, potentially. I mean, it all really depends on how you're playing. It's like, are you even somebody that wants to deal with curses in the first place? Do you have a good enough run that you don't even need to have acceptance. All you need to have is just your, I don't know, ton of ranged weapons that will hit enemies from anywhere on the map. Nice. It's like, is that good enough? And you don't even need to worry about having 5 less enemies to kill. It's like, they're all questions that you have to answer for yourself, you know? But that's really the only thing. It's otherwise just nothing. You get nothing for going on higher cell difficulty other than the satisfaction of going on higher cell difficulty. And I guess more cells if you're... Yeah, I'm doing fine. And I guess more cells if you're... Honestly, I don't even think that more cells is worth it, because if you have everything unlocked like me, it's like, who cares about cells, first off? And if you... Closer. There you go. Oh my god, that was outrageous. Yeah, it's like if you have everything unlocked, then cells don't even matter. And if you're kind of at a lower level, I would suggest doing it at, you know, not at 4 cell or whatever, so that you're not getting killed before you can actually throw those things in the forge. It's really however you think that your level of play is, play up to that, and then it's like, that's good. You're not gonna get anything else from it. Personal challenges, but you know, I do like a good personal challenge. I do like saying, hey, what's the absolute hardest that I can do this on? Let's do it. I mean, you know, as somebody that's played a whole ton of NetHack, for example, I mean, that game's all about giving you different what they call conducts. You know, like, hey, I'm never gonna read a scroll. I'm gonna be illiterate. I'm never going to read a scroll. I'm never going to pray to the gods. I'm going to be atheist. I'm going to be vegetarian, never eat any sort of meat. So it's like at least having a little bit more codified into the game, and then saying like, hey, you know what? You can do it. You don't actually get anything out of it. You get an achievement on Steam, and really, who cares? It's like, that's fine. That's fine. I'm totally happy with that. Still would have liked to have seen the actual, like, a corrupted architecture and everything that they were originally planning for the new game mode, the new game plus to be implemented. Because I would say that if you're not going to give me anything, like cosmetics, that's cool. I like that. Obviously the cell doors are something a little bit original too, but that's more of a, hey, you're going to need the extra help. Damn it, 8 seconds. If I wasn't screwing around in that last tower, I would have made that easy. Oh well, whatever. Doesn't really matter. Honestly, if they wanted to put specific challenges in the game, I'd also be okay with that. Something like actually making it so that single weapon runs are not just something you may choose to do, but are something that you actually get something out of. I think that one of the ones I suggested way back in the day, maybe it was the Impaler episode, the original Impaler episode. Couldn't really tell you. I do think at that point in time I said, you know what would be cool? If you did a Cursed Sword only run, you could unlock the Uncursed Sword. Or, what was it? I was talking about specifically the Soul Calibur, the Soul Embrace, where you jammed both of the swords together, the Soul Calibur and the Soul Edge, and made one super sword, which looked really dopey, if I had to say so. Like something like that. Of course, again, that would be probably given a few too many actual, like, codified in-game mechanic reasons to... Nice. To do higher cell difficulty or specific challenges, but who knows? I don't know, it's just something that I think would be cool. There's a few of those things that, like, a lot of games do that, like, I would not hate at all. Again, I've talked a little bit about it before, but I've been playing Enter the Gungeon recently. There's a dude in there that you can talk to specifically to just... well, actually, there's several dudes in there that exist for the sole purpose of unlocking challenge modes. For example, reloading your gun gives you a different gun each time. Or stuff like... one dude that literally, I think, just makes everything in the entire dungeon, gungeon, if you will, speed up. That is something that has existed. I played mods like that. I think that would be super cool to see in the game. You know, get like, what is it called? Turbo mode? Get the equivalent of that in the game. That would be awesome. Have every enemy moving at like 2 times speed. Throw it on 4-cell mode, have a good time. Yeah, it was Vexon's boss rush. You know, put boss rush in a few little sarcastic quotes, if you know what I'm saying. That was the one specifically that sped up bosses to be much quicker. And I do think that there might be like a turbo mode otherwise. Might be something to check out, but it might also be something that I think would be cool to see in the game proper as well. I mean, certainly, I do think that if Motion Twin wanted to go the full Binding of Isaac route, get your old, get the... Ah, do I want to? Nah, I'm actually doing just fine right now. I don't really need it. If the Motion Twin wanted to go for the full Binding of Isaac route and decide to start throwing in like booster packs where they add in content from mods officially into the game, it's like that would be one to take. Give Vexon the due that he deserves for all of the insane, stupid mods that he's created. I mean, that fun pack was in fact fun, as sarcastic as I made it seem. Oh, well, also, you know, just throwing all the stuff that Alla's been doing, because that guy is amazing. Got the Lunacy Blood Pack, which I still need to check out. That and 20 times mode, which I believe is another nonsense Vexon festival of quote-unquote fun. Lunacy Blood Pack, which is all the stuff, which I think is Cloud mode, Impaler mode, everything combo together. Taking less damage from that than I thought. Including, like, the Cursed Sword run, which, you know, why? The thing's already going to be hard enough. Why would you have... I guess you just don't want to take any sort of melee weapon when you're doing that one, but to put it in the simplest terms possible. Oh, well, it'll have to be something that I've looked at. I've been focusing a lot on doing the showcase runs. Haven't really been too much for challenges, mostly because I'm saving challenges for runs that I think I can do with... Come on, really? I'm saving challenges for runs that I think that I can actually do with a single weapon, like, without needing to do it 50, 60 times in a row, like some of them happen to be. And I think I said before, I'll say again, that if it was all just, you know, all you had to do was go to the... I'm actually going to take this. I really could use the health right now. If all you had to do was... No. If all you had to do was just get to the assassin fight, or... I don't know, maybe the hand would be so impressed that he would just throw down his symmetrical lance and then I wouldn't even have to fight him. Something like that. Then maybe it would be worth, you know, going through the game as Spartan Sandal only. But as it is, it's like the hand is a big roadblock in the game when it comes to trying to use, I don't know, Sadistic Dagger alone to beat him. Even if you're only doing it on 0 cell. It's a thing. It's a trial, certainly. Give me Disengagement, because Disengagement always going to be pretty helpful. And Sadism or Vengeance are usually pretty good. Tainted Flask, if I wanted to... make sure... If I happen to have a lot of potion charges at the end here. But aside from that, I think at this point, all I'm really looking is maybe getting something for my offhand and maybe getting something a little bit better, you know, upgrading all the various weapons that I got right now. I mean, really, I'm feeling pretty good with how the run's going thus far. Do want to make sure that I don't accidentally get caught in his rhythm when he's doing that, though. Well, the other thing, too, is that I am pretty heavy on non-brutality. Just like, yeah, okay, cool. I am pretty heavy on non-brutality stats right now. You know, I took that, well, I'm also kind of rushing maybe a little bit through the... Okay, I thought you were in jump mode. Got it. I am maybe rushing through the game a little bit just because, hey, we're doing a very traditional sort of brutality run here. I'm not really focused... I don't really think that I need to be taking my time and try to avoid becoming another tragedy of society, if possible. As you can see, even at only 13 brutality, this is... It's like this is your bog standard brutality. you really don't need to be scrounging up every single stat that... Oh, fun, no. You really don't need to be scrounging up every single stat that you need right now. I mean, it's a couple good synergies and a good cluster bomb will take you through the game, no problem. Don't really think that you need to... You don't need anything fancier than that, really. It's like... I gotta tell you, it's like, what I'm getting, 5-second cooldown on my cluster grenade. That's pretty regular, and 562 damage times 5, potentially. And then times 2 because of a bomb. And then you throw that from a distance, and it's AoE, and it's everything you could possibly want out of a decent brutality weapon, is what I'm saying. Yeah, let's just hit up the Stilt Village. I'm actually hitting the time doors this time because I'm not waiting around, because I'm not, you know, just like sitting there. I'm trying to like come up with the idea that Dead Cells Man is sitting in poison like you would in a hot tub, but I don't really know how I would explain that in like less than exactly how much time I took right now. Point is, he was resting his weary bones there to try to get back a little bit of health that I lost stupidly earlier in the game. Yeah, one of the great things about Cluster Bomb is that, boy, howdy, do they take out a... Hey, that was really close. Boy, howdy, do they take out flying enemies like nothing. I'll save that one for the Cluster Bomb run. And that probably will be a Cluster Bomb only type of run, because I would say that... Oh! You got me. I would say that this weapon is more than good enough in a lot of ways to be able to carry a run by itself. Might be a little bit difficult in some ways to make sure that I have... Oh, I thought I saw a cherry. That's just the time door. Might be a little bit difficult to get like proper synergies on there, but when you're working with 2 of them at once, I think it'll be totally fine. So yeah, probably don't want to praise the bomb a little bit too much until I actually do that episode proper. Now, as of right now, you can tell it's like a Balance Blade. Doing quite good. I would say that from like a new person that's, you know, playing the game for the first time, that's completely new at the game, this is, from that perspective, this is quite a good weapon. Yeah, okay, let's just take the malaise reduction right now, and if worst comes to worst, I'll save up for a... Worst comes to worst, I'll save up for a potion charge, I think is what I would prefer, rather than, you know, doing the little dance around where you get all the... Where you get the malaise and then reduce that malaise and get up to nearly full health with the secondary stuff. Ah, yeah, there's the defaced statues. Really didn't like the game. And to be fair, they had all reason to. That dude is not a very nice guy. Ah, so come on. Ooh, now this is some bad malaise damage I'm taking. Not even getting anything out of it. If I was fighting like an elite or something, at least, you know, you're getting something there. Here, I'm just taking it on the chin for little to no reason at all. The worst way to play Dead Cells, if you were to ask me. Anyway, I don't really think that there is like an optimal way to do a Balance Blade run. I mean, pretty much the optimal way of doing a Balance Blade run is the same way that you would do any sort of brutality run, and that's exactly how that kind of works. There's no like a kind of balancing out stuff, balancing out like health, like with that last weapon that I got there, to try to keep yourself at half health as much as possible, or like getting hit with the Spiteful Sword or anything like that. It's like, nah, it's just, what did I say? Just like point towards enemy and cause damage. That's all you really need. And that's, like I said, for early game, it's like that's all you really need. There's nothing fancier that you need to be able to, I'm kind of mad about that. There's nothing really fancier that you need to do to get through an early game. I would like to say that, you know what, maybe like a decent damage reduction shield and a... Speaking of which, where's the other shop? Maybe a decent damage reduction shield and just the old Balance Blade is all you really need to... Damn it! These guys, I tell you. I might be able to afford a potion, though, so it wouldn't be terrible. It wouldn't be too bad. That's all you really need to get you through a zero-cell run or something like that. I don't know, I think it's a little bit more interesting to kind of get a look at exactly how you... This is the key door. What am I even doing? I think it's a little interesting to see exactly what the most generic, regular version of a brutality run is, though. Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, it's like, come on, man. I have little enough tactics and I'm actually getting more from having less brutality, or less tactics and more survival. It's interesting. Where is the other shop? I kind of wanted to see what was in there, but it's just not... I mean, am I stupid or am I just not seeing it? Whatever, let's just get into the food shop and go get the potion charge. I guess go into the clock tower. Why not? The generic run will go the generic route. Seems like an arbitrary enough decision for me, if you were to ask my opinion. Alright, so just right up here and then right out. I don't really know if there's too much else that I'm really looking to get in this run just now. It's it's really upgrades and then, like I said, maybe something to give me a little bit more consistent poison. I guess victims emit a toxic cloud with cluster grenade, but that's not gonna help me in like a boss fight. Alright, do I even want to switch out any of my mutations or anything like that? I don't really think I need to. This is really just a fine mix-up of stuff. I mean, going melee, it's like if you get down on health too much, you always got disengagement to kind of save you in a pinch. With 4... That was a lot of errors thrown on the bottom there. With 4... potion charges is the word I'm thinking of. With 4 potion charges, I should be able to recover from a disengagement hit pretty easily. So, yeah, no, it's all going pretty good, I'd say. You know, sort of on that same idea of maybe just like a decent damage reduction shield and everything like that. It's, you know, that's the thing that really kind of makes it difficult to do a single weapon run these days, because way back in the day, you know, when it was just the original version of the game, it's the scaling for weapons was so much more severe and crazy that like just getting enough strength would carry through the game on any weapon, period, regardless of what it was. And it's a thing that called in roguelikes the power curve. Essentially, you know, where enemies might increase in a... Hey, that's what I'm looking for. Enemies might increase in a sort of linear fashion as you get through the game, but you increase at like an exponential rate, like a gigantic, huge curve upwards. And that's how it is, and that's true for like a lot of games. I mean, think about you basically running like a Binding of Isaac or a Gungeon like I've been playing here. Where if you're playing well, if you kind of know what you're doing, you generally, by the time you get to the end, like the game peaks in difficulty early on, and then by the time you get to the end game, you're just kind of like destroying everything in one hit. I mean, when you get like the really good runs in Binding of Isaac, for example, you're literally destroying everything with just a tap of a button sometimes. Shooting out screen-filling projectiles everywhere. It's crazy. And that sort of thing has been toned down a lot since, I want to say, the Brutal update in this game. It used to be so much bigger, the curve that you would get, but this time it's not. And I would say that the fact that I'm using weapons essentially from the start of the game, highest level I got is the Fire Grenade 6 right now. It's like, and they're still only somewhat less effective than an actual leveled up version, like a current biome version of them would be. They're also not, the weapons are also not, come on, really? They're not different moment to moment. I mean, there's no straight upgrade aside from literally getting extra damage or damage reduction, depending on what sort of weaponry that you're using. The moveset is the same, the criticals are the same, you just get more damage. And it's usually not even all that much damage. Like, for example, I'm getting 150% because I got a Balance Blade V. I think if I had a Balance Blade whatever, at best I would be getting, like, 200%. The difference... And I think that's kind of a thing that's weird about this game, because, you know, it purports to be something of a roguelike or something like that, but Dead Cells really is very much just like, but not so much based. It's not a loot game. You're not here to grab as much treasure as possible to make your run easier. It's not all about getting like the right mix of items or anything like that. I mean, it is to a certain extent, but now that they've added stuff like, I'm a little mad about that. I am happy to see them get killed because they fell on each other, though. That's amusing. But yeah, it's an interesting thing because the game originally started out very loot-based like that. But then they started to add stuff like merchandise category, like re-rolling... Wow, this is bad. Like re-rolling shops, like merchandise category. They started to, you know, downplay a little bit of, like, you know, add in the ability to re-roll items, affixes, stuff like that. It all suddenly changes up the game so that it's much more based on your skill or like knowing what you want out of a build and then working to make it happen rather than just happening across it over time. The power curve has been flattened out in this game. There's no huge, like, you never become an invincible god beast, especially with how Malaise works now. Even if you were to be getting an absolutely insane amount of damage out of something, that generally comes at the cost of not being able to take a lot of hits. And even if you can take all of the hits, that generally comes at the cost of still dying anyway because of Malaise. I don't know. It's just, it's interesting how the design has started to curve a little bit more, like a back towards more of a traditional sort of video game rather than something along the lines of a roguelike, where you become an invincible god killer by the end of the game. As soon as you, like a NetHack, as soon as you get your demigod kit, you're done. You're done, you're finished. You're basically unkillable. I mean, by the time you get halfway through that game, you get into the castle. You essentially have ooh, I'll take that. You essentially have so much damage, so much survival, so much armor class, everything like that, that you're unkillable. Like, the Gehenna is actually considered the most boring part of the game, despite being like the second half and, you know, hell. It's a big winding maze filled with demons and everything like that. Now that's trivial compared to the earlier levels where you're fighting, you know, army ants all the time. Because you're so powerful by that point in the game. In that point in the game, you also get a, well, if you're doing it right, a Blessed Wand of Wishing, and then, you know, yeah. Essentially, it can, if you didn't get it during your run already, you have it now. But then you got something like this, where merchandise category, re-rolling shops. If you can kill enough elites, you can just get whatever you want as far as a build goes. It might not be the most ideal build, but it's never, like, real bad or anything like that. I don't know, it's interesting. Like I said, it's more of the idea that they... Oh, that was bad. It's more the idea that that Motion Twin, like, has made this into more of a traditional game despite having, like, the whole random generation elements. I like that. Makes it more skill-based, but at the same time, it is just, like, it's way different from... Oh. Not bad at all, but I'm not gonna take it. It's just way different, I think, than a lot of games that I would think of being in this genre. Gungeon, for example, it's all about the gun that you get. If you get a really good gun, that's a luck of the draw. You really can't choose that. I don't know. The philosophy of how you design these sort of games does intrigue me quite a bit. Because you gotta kind of think, it's like, how do you get a good mix of, like, a chance so that it stays interesting, you know, like your random generation and everything like that, but then also rewarding people that actually know what they're doing. I think I've described it before, that Binding of Isaac, for example, really nothing. Nothing's going to give me any sort of malaise reduction, is it? Binding of Isaac, for example, I think I've said it's got kind of like a flow chart where it's like you go get your devil deal on the first floor, and then you go do this and that and that and this, and then like prioritize all the most powerful weapons and everything like that. And then by the end of the game, you're essentially invincible. Yeah, I know I already showed off this one, but why not? I like having a bunch of cells spray out of me in the end game if I can. Hey, wait a second, where'd the guy go? Huh. I guess the generation of the level somehow made it so that they couldn't spawn in a guy at the entrance to give you your big cell bounty, which is kind of the entire reason why you rested the coiled sword. Now I'm gonna go for it. Why not? Because I can just do that. Come on. And done. And this should also give me quite a bit more stats. I'll take them. I mean, just because I really don't think I need a whole lot of stats here, and I've obviously been rushing through a little bit, doesn't mean that I... Whoa! Guys. Doesn't mean that I necessarily will turn down stats if given a chance. Wow. Gotcha. Yep, a decent amount. I got 65 damage reduction. That is close enough to as much as you're going to be getting in any usual playthrough of the game. I don't really need to be focusing on too much stuff. If I manage to get another S rank fire grenade, could be worth it. We'll see, though. I mean, definitely, I think the thing that the random generation screws up most of anything else is just figuring out where you need to go. And I do think that's what makes maybe speedrunning this game a little bit more interesting than most. You don't really know what the route is going to be. You're not just following the motions. You gotta kind of explore around and get your movement down, not specifically for how the game is designed, but for how it could, like, potentially be designed. Yes and yes! What an amazing get right at the end of the game. Exactly what I'm looking for. It's like Balance Blade leveled up. Yeah, sure. You know, I got the poison. I got stuff that doesn't explicitly rely on things being on fire enough. This should be totally fine. And maybe a little bit of Alchemic Carbine action. Sounds good. Would like to get an up... Oh, this sucks. Ah, see, disengagement. I told you. Disengagement and 3 potion charges. That's exactly what I need to get out of a sticky situation like that. Shouldn't have been in that situation in the first place, but... Shouldn't have been in that situation in the first place, but you know, what are you gonna do? That's how I roll, baby. There we are. No lucky loot this time, but hey, there's always next time. Well, as long as there's not Inquisitors around here, it's not like anything's gonna be able to hit me anyway. Thank you. I don't even know if I had any malaise at that point in time, but if I did, now it's gone. The luck is turning... Oh, nice. Thank you. The luck is turning around in ways that I can't really predict right now. Okay, so it looks like I actually need to go from the other direction. I can do that. I'll just go hit up the teleporter here, get to the other side. I'm going to have to be a little bit careful in the upcoming hand fight. It's not really my favorite sort of... Oh, okay. It's not really my favorite sort of way of going about stuff, but at the same time, I think that I should be okay for the most part, as long as I don't go completely insane or play extremely risky. There's one thing I want to do is try not to go in for extra hits when I can't afford it, to say the least. Sounds good. Maybe I'll get an extra cluster grenade up here, though. Nope, don't even care. I'm out. Hopefully my disengagement comes back into play during the fight here. I'm not going to wait around for that. Don't get me wrong. I could, but I don't want to. There's no way to see any sort of what my cooldown is on that, which is really too bad. That would be very helpful right now. Alright, hopefully I can just finish this up nice and easy, and it will be nothing but a G thing. Okay, well, that was okay. Good breach. And also good hit on the hand at the same time that I got all those enemies killed. A little worried about that if I'm being perfectly honest. Oh, how did you hit me still? I call shenanigans on that, most definitely. Okay. That'll take down those dudes, and then do this. Not too bad of a hand fight as of just yet. And shouldn't be too much longer here. Actually, I think I was actually fairly close to getting a perfect on this dude if I first off didn't get hit there, but also if I didn't get hit by his crazy slam down attack there, which just was bad timing entirely. Oh, there you go! Regular old brutality run. Done in the least painful way possible.